results of our UTC. I'm grateful that so many people responded to our call for a manifesto for the Just City.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia, and I'm part of the team of students and teachers at TU Delft's Global Urban Lab, the TU Delft platform
of our UTC. I'm grateful that so many people responded to our call for manifesto for the Just City.
Sorry, we had cracked wires.
I started hearing myself. I'm sorry.
Go on.
Okay. So I'll start again. I'm part of a team of students and teachers at TU Delft's Global Urban Lab, the TU Delft platform to discuss issues of urbanization in the Global South. The organizers of these events include Anja van der Vaart, Gabriele Caradona, Ganesh Babu, Jonathan Subendran, Lucas Di Gioia, Igor Tempels, Pessoa, Luz Maria Vergara, Roberto Rocco, Caroline Newton, and myself. We are also supported by the Delft Global Initiative, the TU Delft platform that discusses issues of the Global South, and the Spatial Justice Network, a network of teachers and researchers discussing spatial justice. The idea is that by organizing and participating in such an activity, we extend the mutual learning beyond the classroom. We also wish to form a community of teachers and students discussing spatial justice unapologetically as a central issue in urban development everywhere. And there are the links.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan. This event is organized in partnership with the World Urban Campaign, the UN Habitat platform in charge of promoting the implementation of the new urban agenda, launched in 2016 in Quito, Ecuador. The website of the World Urban Campaign is in the chat box. There you can find the complete overview of all the UTCs organized. So the Urban Thinkers Campus are instrumental platforms for stakeholders to get together to make decisions about implementing the new urban agenda. After Caroline's and Roberto's lecture today, we will present our book, and we will have a few groups explain what they did for the manifesto. And we will have a more interactive activity. But for now, let's see how we are discussing spatial justice here at TU Delft.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm not sure.
Yes, we can see it.
You see the full screen or you see the notes?
We see the full screen.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Good. So welcome, everyone. The idea of this very small mini lecture is actually to sort of share some starting points about spatial justice. And so I will talk, but Roberto will intervene at certain occasions. And the idea is to keep it short. So we have plenty of time to look at the manifestos. So I want to start with this big idea of the American dream. And if I would ask you, what is this dream about? I think that we all know it's the belief that anyone, regardless of where they were born or what class they were born into, they can attain their own version of success in a society where upward mobility is possible for everyone. And that this American dream is achieved through sacrifice, risk-taking, and hard work, rather than by chance. But I think we all know, and the different sessions that we have and the discussions that we have show that we all know that in reality, it's not so easy. And it does make a difference where you were born and where you grew up. And so spatial inequality and opportunities are something that we need to take into account and we need to consider. And so a lot of the things I will be talking about actually start from the work of Edward Soya. and especially the city and spatial justice and seeking spatial justice, which is, it's important to sort of acknowledge that in this critical analysis of space and looking at how space relates to the social world, we are not doing this from a sort of theoretical enthusiasm, let's say, but we're also doing this because we want to understand and see how through understanding we can actually feed activism. And that was also what Edward Soja was looking for. How can we, through understanding what is happening from a very critical perspective, also see how we can make a change and how we can change things. And the idea that this organization of inequality is also anchored in space has a lot to do with, in general, the spatial turn in the social sciences, where increasingly we started to understand that being human or becoming a human is not only defined by time, as you are born into a world, you live in it and you die, but also really spatially. Until the second half of the 19th century, space was merely the canvas, the container in which humans were active. But increasingly, we started to understand that you cannot conceptualize space merely as this container, but that you should understand it as a social construction. And there was also the renewed attention for the work of Henri Lefebvre. Some examples can be seen in Peter Sloterdijk's work, the Spheres trilogy, in the work of Michel Foucault or Pierre Bourdieu. And so we are actually, through these writers and through this thinking, we're actually being equipped with some very interesting tools to understand this, this spatial organization, socio-spatial organization of our world. And we know that space is socially produced and that we understand it we sometimes understand it very differently depending on who we are and how we were educated. And you see there these three circles, they refer to Lefebvre's trialectic understanding of space, where you can look at space as something that is conceived with something that we as planners, designers do. We look at space and we organize space on our drawings, in our plans, and we think that space actually functions like we put it in our drawings. But of course, as a human navigating cities, navigating spaces, we know that it is not entirely true. Space is also something lived. There are intangible meanings that we attach to space that are important, and we navigate in our daily practices through a space that, and that navigation is often very much sort of steered by how the morphology of space work, how space is sometimes designed, or sometimes how it is organized by nature. So there is a socio-spatial dialectic that we need to acknowledge and understand. And so in the end, as human beings, we're not only temporal beings, being born, living and dying, we are also social beings. We like to interact. That has become very clear, I think, in the current crisis, but we're also spatial beings. We are embodied and our bodies take up space. So in the end, space really matters. And that space matters, you can see on different scales, from the sort of the scale, the global scale of the world. And you see some images that show inequality, looking at it really from a poverty perspective. You see that on a global scale, the poverty is very much unequally distributed. And if you zoom in on Europe, again, you see that there are very big differences between certain countries and regions. And then if you zoom into the Netherlands, again, you see that certain places, they really become very prominent with a higher number of poverty. And then if you zoom into the city scale, again, you see these spaces come up. So these inequalities are are important to take into account. And so you see that the spatial injustice is an outcome. It's sort of visible on these maps. Sometimes it's also really supported by spatial interventions. The example that you see on the screen is Cape Town, South Africa, where you see that infrastructure is really used during apartheid to emphasize the differences. But spatial justice or injustice is also understood as a process. The underlying processes that shape our spatial organization is really something to take into consideration. When we think about how we're going to organize space, it also really matters not only how it will physically look, but also what the process behind it is. Who do you include in these processes of hopefully co-creation and so on. And this becomes, I think, increasingly important in today's world, in a context of neoliberal practice that is also increasingly clear in planning practices, where space becomes a product, and a product that is valued explicitly for its location. Depending on where you are located in space, things are either valued more or less. And I think you see a very nice sort of little sketch there of London, where depending on where you live in the city, there are some attributes attached to that location. And so it becomes clear that there are poor neighborhoods, that there are posh neighborhoods, that there are neighborhoods full of intellectuals, that there are rough neighborhoods, and so on. So clearly, attached to spatial organization are some valuations of a sort of more socioeconomic nature.
So I just wanted to intervene to say that this is blatant and very apparent in our American cities, right? I'm not talking about the cities in the United States only, but in all of the Americas, with the exception of Canada, maybe. We have cities that are incredibly different and varied and diverse. That is a good thing. But sometimes people live in places where they cannot access services, and that makes their lives much, much harder. Yeah.
Okay, and this is also really something that Soja emphasizes. If you are differently located in space, that being differently located in space can have a really deeply oppressive and exploitative effect, especially when this is maintained over a longer period of time and rooted in persistent divisions in society, such as those based on race, class, and gender. And if we want to question that, we need to think for ourselves and see how we can make a change towards spatial justice, where spatial justice involves the fair and equitable distribution in space of socially valued resources and the opportunities to use them. We need to acknowledge that social processes shape the spatiality of specific geographies of injustice, or let's hope so, justice. And it needs urban dwellers to be able to participate openly and fairly in all the processes that produce urban space. And so for that, we need planners, we need designers, we need architects and practitioners that acknowledge that and that dare to take this sort of a very ethical position and that dare to engage, because otherwise we're going towards a very uncertain future. We can think the future is already uncertain because of the pandemic, because of climate change. But if you look at this beautiful little graph by the Center for Existential Risk at Cambridge University, you see that increasing inequality is also something that can really shake up a society. So how can we as planners take up a role to make sure that we can produce conditions that foster spatial justice? How can we as designers and as architects let's think about the kind of processes that involve people, and so that we can co-create space, that we can co-create interventions. And then we need to take a stance also about thinking who has the right to participate. How are we going to design these co-creative processes? And I think, Roberto, you want to add something from the European perspective to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something from this perspective that that I see coming. In the European Union, we have a very different societal model. And I think this societal model can be criticized and is criticized. It has a lot of problems, but it is more intent on distributing the burdens and benefits of development. So here in Europe, we have a commitment from the European Union to distribute a little bit more. Of course, we know that there are several problems and there is a lot of inequality here as well. But one of the tools that the European Union is putting forward is the European Green Deal. So the European Green Deal was published last year and is a very comprehensive plan of action to achieve a just transition to sustainability. And I want to emphasize this just transition. We all know, we all understand that we need to transition from this state of non-sustainability to a state of sustainability, but this transition needs to be fair and needs to be inclusive and needs to be for everyone. And why is that? So if you look at this little graph, you will see the red dot there. That's one of the pillars of this Green Deal. And it's called the Just Transition. And this motto, it has this motto, leave no one behind, which is in the Agenda 2030 of development. Why do we need to be just? Because justice is more than the moral imperative. The moral imperative is there. We can't leave no one behind. It's immoral to leave people behind, right? But apart from that, inequality erodes democracy. And inequality erodes the institutions that we have to support everything that this plan, for example, wants to do. So, okay, they want to do, they have a climate ambition, they want to deal with clean energy, circular economy, and so on. In order to do that, we need the citizens to be fully on this. Because if citizens don't support this, this is not going to happen. But citizens are not going to support it if they feel that it's unfair to them. And therefore, justice goes beyond even the moral imperative. It's a question of survival of our institutions and our democracies. And I'm sure that many of you are thinking, oh, but Roberto, democracy is actually not working very well. We need to maybe get rid of it. And my answer is, well, maybe we need to reform democracy deeply. We need a completely overhaul. We need to have more democracy. We need to have better states. We have to have better governments and not no government. We are very used to badmouth our politicians with reason, because many of them are in it for the money, but they are also incompetent and incredibly unimaginative sometimes. So we know that, but we need to be candid, to be politicians ourselves. We need to really reform our states and our democracies, and we can only do that if we do it with justice. Otherwise, it becomes unacceptable by people. Having said that, having given my little message, I'm curious to know what you think, and if you have additions, or if you would like to discuss with us. We have, yeah.
Roberto, can I add something? Because
yeah,
what you said is really important. Politicians are unimaginative, and if there is something that we have or that you have, then it's imagination. and creativity. And that is really an incredible strength that you need to foster and that you need to use to show how this transition can be a just transition, because it will include spatial interventions. And if you look at the scheme, that sort of the spatial organization is not explicitly there, but if you talk about mobility, if you talk about building and renovation, if you talk about circular economy, these are all they are all sort of very spatial in the end. And that is why we need to be creative and imaginative and show that this change can be an inclusive one and a just one. Sorry, Roberto.
No, you're completely right. And thanks for adding that. Look, we face, if we are talking about our politics in the United States, I think everybody here, it's easier to talk about politics in the United States because we are all kind of familiar with what's going on over there and the erosion of democracy that is happening there. I think something has to be done. And I am against thinking that we as architects, we can do everything. I'm really against this idea of the architect, this all-powerful guy who will give you the answer for your city. And Caroline and I, we are in super agreement. But we have a special power. It is this power of being able to articulate visions for the future with the citizens, right? We don't do that in our ivory towers, but we need to do it with the stakeholders, with the citizens. And we want to do, we can inform politicians about better options. So, I'm looking at the chat. Jessica, I made a mistake. You are right. You guys are you are going to present. I'm going to call you by name, right? I sent you in the link here just before Ikram's message. Oh, sorry. Our invitation to you today is that even during the presentation, when we are talking, if you can give us ideas about how to go forward as a community, we really think that all this work we had is for something. We want to build a community of people thinking about these things, and we are very happy if you can use the post-its on on the link that I sent you, and if you can write a few things, a few ideas, or even make some comments. And please don't hesitate to make comments in the chat. It's always very useful when people say things so we can have a dialogue, right? Rather than, okay, I will try to share my screen right now. Sorry, guys, it's a confusion. I have three screens, so it's difficult to find which one things are gonna happen. Let's try this one. So guys from the organization, please help me.
It's your computer screen.
It's your desktop right now.
Yeah.
Oh, my desktop. Okay. Let's see how this works. Okay, I think it's gonna work now. Does it work?
No, it's still your desktop.
Still your desktop.
Oh my God.
Now you brought something to the desktop.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. You drag them down again? Now.
Yeah.
Now we can see it. Yes. Perfect.
It's totally not on the place that it's supposed to be, but whatever. Guys, so what have you done? What have we done, right? With these ideas that Caroline has just explained in mind, we made this call for a manifesto for the Just City. And I mean, the 4 events that we organized with very interesting speakers who are not here, unfortunately, today, to discuss these ideas. And we noticed that the speakers were incredibly complementary to each other. They really informed us about issues happening in different places in the world, in India, in Brazil, in Israel, the United States and Canada, and so on. So 101 universities actually took part in that event, and 172 students wrote 43 manifestos. And today we are going to look at some of these manifestos. Before we do that, let's have a look at what the book looks like. You already received a link to the book, so you know what it looks like, but I just wanted to highlight a few things. Together with contents, we also have role models that we would like to put forward. People who are doing or saying things, or who did things and said things that are important for us, and we should pay attention to them. I don't know who said that we should always look for the helpers. Whenever there is a bad situation like we do have now in the world, where are the helpers? Where are people doing things and building stuff? And well, here are our organizers. I'm not going to go through the whole book, but here are the names of the contributors, 172 people. And our first role model is Dr. Martin Luther King. And the reason I chose him is because, I mean, he is a complete inspiration for all of us, right? And he said that the function of education to teach one to think intensively and to think critically, intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. And it's something that we completely subscribe, especially the part that says that we have to think critically. Okay, I'm going to go through very quickly with the book, and I'm going to land here. So Edward Soya, we explain what spatial justice, what we think it is, what the right to the city is. We listen to our speakers. Maybe I should show them with more. Lani Farha from The Shift, a former UN rapporteur for the right of housing. Stein Osterlein from the University of Antwerp talked to us about solidarity. Efrat Cohen-Bar brought to us maybe the defining conflict of our times, which is the Israel-Arab in Palestine. And I think that's very, very important. Also, the way that she explained how planning is used to oppress people. Tena de Paula is a councilwoman at the city of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And she told us about what's going on in Brazil and the struggles there. And Suraj Yangde talked to us about the struggles of the untouchables in India, which and how the Dalits, sorry, I'm not sure untouchables is the right word, and it shouldn't be the right word. Dalits, how they struggle in this new political world of India. But we also had a few contributions for our own students. And I'd like to give the word to Anya van der Vat for her to explain what she wrote, what her article about.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. I'll keep it very quick. So in my article, my short article, I discussed how the role of architects and other spatial practitioners must transform in order to address the realities of the climate and ecological emergency ahead. And I always like to refer to this quote, which is by Kate Raworth, the author of Donut Economics. she stated, "Ours is the first generation to deeply understand the damage we have been doing to our planetary household, and probably the last generation with a chance to do something transformative about it." And as mentioned by Roberta and Caroline earlier, I really believe that as a creative practice, architects and urban planners and planners have a real kind of opportunity here to utilize their creative skills and to transform a very kind of conventional linear practice into one that can be collaborative, participatory, kind of fire the imagination and persuade people to perhaps act or live in different ways. And yeah, my last point in the article was, one thing that we all can do is make way for alternative modes of doing things.
Thanks, Anya, so much. Thank you. I think people will really enjoy reading your article. Sorry. Luz, would you like to talk to us about the Chilean social outbursts that really put in check neoliberalism in Latin America?
Yes, thank you, Roberto. Yes, you are right. I think in this short article, I brought the example of Chile and from there, because it shows the effect of 30 and almost 40 years of market-driven approaches to causing policies, or also policies in health, education. And this kind of trigger a huge social outburst that had happened in October 2019. And this kind of made evident all the inequalities that we are having in this apparently rich and, let's say, a country that was a developed country in so many ways in Latin America. But I think this also shows how these market-driven approaches may show very good numbers in terms of macroeconomics, but the B side, let's say, that we have strong inequalities at the urban level. So in this short article, I also explained them and made the connection between politics, economics, and how we build and how we are producing our cities. And it ends with a more positive note, because all of this has triggered that we may have a new constitution. And this also, I think that is a huge opportunity to rethink the model that we are having now. I hope that this work and we can kind of start to move in towards a more equal cities and model in terms of education, health, and many other aspects in the city.
So I think we have all been exposed to the narrative of neoliberalism, and in many places it took a very big toll on social cohesion, right?
Yes, for sure.
Sorry, Natalia, would you like to talk about your article?
Hello, everyone. Well, my article was about socio-spatial mobility in neighborhoods and cities. So to get a little bit more of insight, socio-spatial mobility is the movement of people between different residential neighborhoods with differing levels of social deprivation. So people move out of neighborhoods or cities to attain a higher quality of life and try to create an equilibrium between job opportunities, housing needs, and the resources provided in the place they're living at. And but for a city to work adequately, it needs to have sustainable development. And for this to happen, the article states how inhabitants' basic needs and rights must be satisfied. So neighborhoods must provide opportunities to their inhabitants, such as access to jobs, good schools, quality housing choices, safe streets, services, and strong social networks. So places are created by the people who inhabit them, and the diversity of opportunities and networks are the key factors in socioeconomic and socio-spatial mobility, as they are the factors in residential preferences. And so what I talk in the article is that social inequality and deprivation of resources leads to spatial segregation, which results in an urban conflict. So it can be observed in the uneven distribution and exchange of resources generated by the exclusiveness of goods and networks in a city. And to mitigate the socio-spatial mobility in neighborhoods, there is a need to become multifunctional, providing resources in situ and creating the conditions for the community to not move and live elsewhere to satisfy their needs. So this will create better integration with the city and the neighborhoods. And as a consequence, like networks will be strengthened and growth will become more sustainable. And that's like basically a short summary of what the article
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalia. Very, very good. Let's go forward, if I may. Jonathan.
Hello. This my manifesto is titled "Procedure and Distribution are Not Enough. We Need to Recognize the Differences." This manifesto is motivated to critically assess the current dominant discourse on spatial justice theory and begs the question: these dominant notions are relevant outside of their originating context, mainly Western. And this manifesto also seeks a more diversified and inclusive theoretical framework that can recognize difference to constitute a more democratic process towards justice and avoid pitfalls of universalization.
If I may, I think the point that you make in this article is really important, that most of the literature and the concepts come from the global north, and we need to start looking at literature in the global south that defines even differently these issues, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Ganesh, Babu.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
I'll just put it here because I think this is more informative, right?
Yeah. I did a meta-analysis of all the 43 manifestos in the document to see how each of you had tried to frame your arguments and existing issues as well in terms of using the sentiment analysis, where most of you have tried to frame the issues in a positive light, but most of you have also been really emotional in terms of how you framed your issues as well. So this graphic sort of captures the emotional character of the 40 manifestos in this document. There's also interesting differences between how people from the global north and global south have framed their issues as well. I think you'll have fun reading through this as well. Thank you.
So for those who are not familiar with discourse analysis and sentiment analysis, I think this is a really nice exercise analyzing your manifestos to see what the feelings that they exuded in the text, right? If I may explain it like that. Thanks a lot, guys. There are more texts, of course, from Caroline and from Russell in the book. If you don't mind, guys, I'm just going to go forward. We have our own manifesto for just planning education that I really would love if you could read and if you could make it known. We are going to package it a little bit better and make it more easy to publish everywhere. But now, finally, we get to the manifestos themselves, right? And we do have an order, which I just discovered is not completely right. But we are going to start with Alejandro Maturana, Hissing Yen Lee, Jugna Nevekaita, and Veronica Volts from Catholic Universiteit Leuven. So, guys, would you like to say a few words about your manifesto? And who you are? Tell us where you guys are from and etc.
Hey, so this is our manifesto, and yes, indeed, we are from Q Leuven. Do I start with manifesto now?
Tell us who you are. Where are you from?
I
know you are in Belgium, but where are you from?
So I'm Lithuanian, maybe our team members would like to present themselves.
I'm Xingzhen and I'm from Taiwan.
Cool.
Yes, and I'm Veronica and I'm from Germany.
Hi, Veronica. And Alejandro?
Hi.
And I'm Alejandro, yes. You said it very well, actually, Alejandro, yes. I'm Alejandro, I'm from Belgium, but from Chilean nationality.
Ah, cool.
But I study in Belgium, I live in Belgium.
Maybe we won't have time for the next ones to everybody introduce themselves. Otherwise, we will be. But thanks a lot for introducing yourselves. Let's try to make it quick and so everybody can talk, right? So Ugne, would you like to say something?
We would like to say a few words. Basically, our manifesto is about education, and we think it is a very important structural pillar for our society. And also this precondition to prepare all of us in creating, in living, in fostering for a just city. We have like a little bit that we did is made a pyramid which has like 4 steps: governments, citizens, universities, and schools. In our manifesto, we talked about each topic more in depth. So we can just quickly get a few sentences about each topic. Start with governments, and governments basically how we have divided it. That civic participation should be promoted by governments, and therefore it should build citizenry. And then citizens ourselves, that every citizen in future should be a decision maker and taking action in power. And also another thing that we talked about was this knowledge, the power of knowledge, and that it should be divided horizontally between all of the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And one of these powers is to design the city, right? So we have to co-design and not imagine that we are going to. Very, very good, guys.
That's why, maybe very shortly, just that's why we actually emphasized on this pyramidal form, that is actually the hierarchical form of our society that would become then in the end like kind of circular, horizontal, parallel shape that would, where every actor would build something, I don't know, in a perfect form, I can say, from every angle to the center, to the middle.
Yeah. So the triangle transforms into this shape. You
spiral.
Very good. Thank you so much, guys. It's a pity we can't applaud you. I'm sure people would like to applaud you, but thanks.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for doing this. It's a lot of work, I'm sure. We are moving on to the group of Althea Sherman, Christopher Kleinefelter, Nedan Talai, and Stephen Hulse from the Morgan State University of Baltimore in the USA. Guys, can you kind of introduce yourself super quickly and then tell us about your manifesto?
Yes, good morning. This is Althea. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I'm on the call, and I believe, Stephen, are you on the call as well? Stephen Hulse is on the call.
I'm here.
I think Netta and Chris, I don't know if they were able to join us, but thank you. We're happy to be back and be part of this discussion. Our manifesto really was, our attempt was to restart or revisit the conversation around the need for just city. As most of you know, it's been over 70 years since the right to adequate housing was declared a human right. But here we are, right? 70 plus years later, still talking about it. But for our manifesto, if you go to the first page, we wanted to start off the gate with highlighting the essential role of, spatial justice victims. We believe that this is a, moral issue. It's an issue around justice, but we also wanted to recognize the economic impact, right? The global contribution of many of these victims. And so we are all in this together. It's not just about empowering the victims of social justice. it's good for the global economy, as demonstrated by COVID-19. And with that, we wanted to recognize this as an opportunity for all of us to work together across the socioeconomic scale stratas to solve this problem. We wanted to highlight things like the root causes, fair-based root causes like racism, sexism, religious, orientation. And we also wanted to recognize some of the essential needs that need to be addressed, not just adequate housing, but transportation, access to healthcare, other benefits, while encouraging collaboration, right? Renewing our mindset and vision around collective collaboration, solidarity to solve this problem. And we ended by providing a vision for how we wanted to build back better and sustainable by resetting, renewing our minds. And we also use our meme pictorial, which was the coronavirus, as a reset button. If you see that was the cover page, and that's also shown on the big top of the manifesto. So it's a call for action by all, a recognition that the victims of spatial injustice were critical for society and for the economy, because money talks, as many of you know, in these developed communities. And that's, in a nutshell, is what we attempted to present in our manifesto.
Thank you so much. And I would like to highlight the word solidarity. That is a little bit absent from our curricula. We don't talk about solidarity too much because it's not scientific enough, right? But I think there is a lot of good policy and good action that can be built upon solidarity. And thank you so much, guys. And there were quite a few groups from Morgan State. I'm really happy that you took part in this endeavor. Really proud of you.
Well, we appreciated the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would add one thing.
Yes.
The increasing importance of connectivity. Increasingly, people are being marginalized because they don't have access to high-speed internet. So. Oh yeah.
Oh, we are experiencing this right now. I'm sure there are people around the world now listening who are not so well connected. Thanks, Stephen. Guys, I want to make sure that everybody knows the link to the book, so you can download the PDF of the book, is on the chat, right? It's the last link on the chat. Everybody can download the PDF. Let's go to India now. Meanwhile, we can have a look at the other manifestos. I'm really sorry that not everybody could present, but we actually chose the manifestos more in terms of representation of different countries and different. So let me see. I have to go to page 142 right now. Sorry, guys. To the manifesto of Anmol, Chaudhary, Anupriya Agarwal, Janvi, and Sharanya from the School of Planning and Architecture of Delhi in India. Are you guys there?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. So we are students from India and are studying urban planning from the School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi. So the core idea behind our manifesto is that while justice might come easy to a privileged few, it is a long-held aspiration for a huge population of people in India, and our country has a history of discrimination against certain marginalized communities, the onset of which can be traced back to the arrival of the caste system, which is basically a traditional system of social stratification, which and we are really focusing on the spatial manifestation of these inequalities and how they have been imbibed in the urban framework of cities over time. So our manifesto rests on the fact that justice is a hollow word if all points of view are not brought in. Because the reality is that with diversity, we are experiencing more division than solidarity. So how do we come together when everybody has a different origin, story, and perspective? We believe that for solidarity to materialize, we need to find a common ground. So we have laid down different steps for action, which Janvi would like to talk about.
Guys, so the steps for action for our manifesto started with acknowledging our differences, admitting our privileges, because only then we can correct the systems and enable these privileges. The next thing that we thought of was reconstructing the history set by our forefathers and create a collective and honest narrative of all perspectives. The other thing that was very basic was that ensuring a dignified lifestyle through making available the basic facilities and amenities regardless of caste, class, or gender. We also need equal representation in policy making forums to ensure crucial communities and every aspect of communities in our country. And solidarity in diversity, we thought, would be ensured by creation of inclusive public spaces that encourage shared practices and making beauty and art available to all, poor or rich, because art is vital and must be obtainable to everyone. Next, we thought that redefining development would be one, because right now it's defined by GDP and wealth, and we think it should be defined by happiness index and the ratio of poor to elite.
Janvi, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I completely agree with you. And there is an economy of well-being coming up in which we measure development through well-being of people rather than by GDP, which I think is a completely mistaken way of understanding that. Okay, I made a mistake. But let me see, guys, here. I have to go back now to, yes, Tara Makina, Kieran Farren, Samuel Webb from KU Leuven in Belgium. You guys have very British names, so I'm in doubt whether you are Belgian or not.
Yeah, we're from, well, I'm from the UK.
Okay.
I'm from Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah, and I'm from Peru.
From Peru? Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah. Living in Northern Ireland.
Oh, you're all together there. That's very nice to see. Would you like to...
We're all actually in Belgium. We're in Brussels right now. Sorry.
You're in Brussels. Very good. Very
yes. Good. Yeah. So this is our manifesto. And to keep things short, we decided to come at manifestos with an alternative approach, something that changes the communication of a manifesto, of statements, of important criticisms. And for each issue that we identify, we created an object, as you would see it in a catalogue, and it's quite a cynical response to these criticisms. And then, of course, the prizes actually do have a relation to a fact. They're not randomized. So I can give you an example. I'll start with one example, which is the first one on the left at the top. So it's a DVD case called The Good, the Bad, and the Elderly. The joke on the very famous film. And it's a comment on how cities are leaving elderly behind in their development, and how that's not a good strategy. And then the next product.
I like the civil bank. Can you explain the civil bank and how you?
Yeah, sure. Kieran, do you want to explain civil bank?
Sure. Yeah, this one was criticism of the sort of urban approach or urban attitude towards informality, and how it's sort of brushed aside often. So, for example, if a city is holding an Olympic event, or if there's a political, for example, a presidential visit, how they can just build a wall and kind of pretend it's not there. And yeah, we felt that this is a really big issue, especially in the global south.
You just spray their Sillet Bank and the slums are gone.
And the slums are gone. All right.
Exactly.
It's a little bit of a cynical approach.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, we wanted to have fun with it.
Okay, well done, well done. Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Huh?
Thank you for the opportunity. That was fun.
No, thank you guys for the work. I have to go now to page 122, which is Floris Mert, Immer Cru, Ine Rijmakers, Min de Plekker, Olivier Verfay from KU Leuven as well.
Yeah, we are a group of 5 people from the KU Leuven campus in Ghent. We study master in urban planning and urbanism. And as you can see, we choose the title of our manifest to be just a number like 1000. And if I explain it right, you should normally understand the decision afterwards. So from the beginning, we wanted to write a manifest that is applicable for everyone. And thereby we got the idea to work with a metaphor, namely the metaphor of the miracle of life, aka a newborn baby entering our planet. An event that no one can affect and that will largely determine the rest of our lives. Every one of us, as you know, is born in a very different culture, a different context, a different environment. And it is poignant that from day one, people do not experience the same equity as a result of the place and context where they were born. And once we got this idea of the metaphor, we decided to use a very personal approach in order to give the reader the feeling that the manifest itself is addressing the message directly to him. And we did this by using the fact that on average, 250 babies are born every minute in our world. And with this data, we divided the text in 4 major subjects and calculated how much time one needed to read to get to that point in a text. As you can see, we have different titles with always a time in parentheses afterwards, which is on average needed to get to that point in the text. And
so what's important for me here is that you use time as a tool to explain what you meant, right? It's a temporal manifest.
Data to redefine and empower our message about these particular inequities that some of these newborns will experience. For example, if you go 1 page back, we talk about spatial equity, and you need more or less 2 minutes to get to that point, which means 500 babies were born while reading these 2 paragraphs. And then based on other data, we found out that like 200 of these 500 will grow up in one form of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it's of the utmost importance that we strive for a world where this unfairness dissolves from the beginning and that everyone has like equitable chances and opportunities from day one they enter this world, regardless of class, race, the location or environment where you grow up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Are you all from Belgium?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in Brussels right now, and I think the rest of my team is in Ghent or in the environment of Ghent. Like.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Well done. That's really nice. We would be applauding, of course, if we had the means.
Yeah,
to
thank you
applaud.
for the opportunity.
I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, we have another very visual. Please don't be duped by the fact that these some manifestos are very visual, but they are also very well written. So this one combines both. It's very visual and very well written. From Gianluca Cavallaro, Harrison Brewer, Hannah Averbeck, that's a Dutch name, Johanna Volker, sorry, and Rosa Momot from UCL. Are you guys there?
Yes, yeah, I'm gonna present for the team.
Hi, Harrison.
So yeah, we're 5 planners from the Paulo School of Planning from all over the world. So I'm English, Hannah's German, Jen is from Australia and he's Chinese as well. And we came together and we basically looked at this as sort of like an exercise in brainstorming utopia. So that's how we came at it. I think I've frozen. I haven't frozen actually, sorry. Yeah, so we looked at the sort of the idea that utopia can act as like a North Star that we want to get to, sort of a guide. It's rooted in the radical and the imaginary. And when we started thinking about this idea of sort of wayfinding and navigation, we ended on the idea of a boat. So we wanted to like construct a boat that can get us from here to utopia. And so we divided that boat into 3 separate parts: the hull, the mast, and the sail. And each part sort of relies on the other. Each part creates the whole, but there's sort of intricate relationships between each section. And there's also a sequence. So you need to build the hull first, and then you need to build the mast, and then you hoist the sail on top of it, and then you're off on your way. So the whole split into sort of the 3 ideas that we contained within the whole, which is sort of shelter provision and solidarity. So the idea that the just city at its essence protects, provides, and populates the urban experience and those within it. Then you have the mast. And so the mast is what we defined as an inclusive, accountable, and participatory democratic process. And this is sort of how you engage with urban problems. So once people are provided for and protected, there needs to be sort of a collaborative process of problem solving. And big problems require big solutions, coordinated and choreographed amongst millions of people, and climate change is a great example. And so the idea of having a participatory democratic process that hears the voices of everyone and sort of turns it into action, that was something very important to us. And then lastly, the sail, to sort of, what catches the wind and takes us from here to the end, as these sort of 3 ideas, these 3 sustainable principles: diverse and thriving environments, equitable and restorative economy, and convivial and wholesome community. And that and the mast, those sort of, for me, are the 2 really interesting bits, because we know how to get to net zero. We know of alternative economic models. We know how to build community, but it's sort of, how do we start that process? How do we begin on the way? And to us, we thought that democratic process was really key to that. Yeah, and the illustrations are great. We all did the writing, but Hannah Averbeck did the illustrations, and it looks really nice. So.
Yeah, it really looks very nice. Thank you so much, Harrison. Thanks, team,
thank you
for working on this. This is really amazing. And I have to say that on a personal level, for me, Brexit is the fuck up of the century. And I really am very, very sorry that to see England, the UK, sorry, go astray from the European Union. I think it's really very sad, but that's my personal.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Let's go to another group from UCL. On page 162. Sorry, guys, I'm getting old. I don't see it very well. I have to look very closely. Sophia Robertson, Caitlin Robinson, Anahita Singh, and Christy Tong from UCL. Are you there? Maybe they're not here today. I don't hear them, so we will go on. PT. And we are going to go to, sorry. Our own homemade. Huh?
Yeah.
Leslie, Jeroen, Rick.
Yeah. Hi, Roberto.
So I'm a teacher. I'm Jeroen's teacher actually. So he had a special responsibility.
Yeah. Well, our manifesto also uses a metaphor like the one that was presented before. Ours used the metaphor of a tree. Should I speak louder?
No, you should speak lower because it's quite loud.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so as we all know, diversity is not a stranger to us. In our tribal past, we also were encountered with diversity from other tribes, and then we were also afraid that they might challenge us, that it might be the future, and that we are not. And this drives us to a certain uncertainty, to a certain future. Recent decades, the degree of diversity, however, has increased with globalization and other effects. And we believe that diversity is the future. Diversity are the roots of the city, so to say. By acknowledging this diversity and talking about our shared history, we create a strong base for a city and aligning towards a future that we can all be happy in, which is then the branches, the crown of the tree, so to say. And to do this, acknowledging the shared history, also important that we underline is the cooperation and the nature aspect, that we have the ecological livability, that we do it not only as humans together, but also together with the nature. Well, that's our manifesto in a really short span.
Thank you very much. I think it's really worth reading it. The text is really nice, and I love the illustration. By the way, to my fellow organizers, please feel free to intervene whenever you feel like. Otherwise, thanks a lot, Jeroen. Thanks a lot, guys, for taking the time and the energy to do this. We are moving on to Lucy Arro. I don't know if you are French or English, so maybe it's Lucy Harrod. Jens van Dalen, Leonie van der Dalen, Jolan Lippens, Eline van Evel from KU Leuven, and they teamed up with Cristóbal Diaz Martinez from UCL in the UK. They teamed up, and this is a very special group because they gave me a lot of work. I will tell you why later. And I have to commend one person, and I know she's here because I saw her. Lucy really did an amazing job trying to manage the images. But guys, I know that Cristóbal was going to present.
Yes, thank you, Roberto. Thanks for the opportunity, and to all the team behind this amazing work. Well, Ellie and Lucy, Leonie, Jens, and Jolan, they're from Belgium. I'm Cristóbal from Chile, and we try to highlight the main actors involved in the production of space, specifically calling to 5 key actors that we identified. In the first place, citizens, in order to make the most out of the community empowerment that we have seen during this pandemic in the local and neighborhood scale. So we believe that grassroots organizations have a vital role to develop radical democracy practices, self-management, but also local power disputes. Local experiences are the raw material of global movements that we are already seeing. Regarding the new economic leaders that we can see there on the screen, well, appealing to the moral standards of the rich has never been a successful move. But considering the social influence of the new rich, it's important to bring them to the debate, to understand the world they wish to build, their perspective of capital and labor relationships, although we have seen very clear in the case of Amazon and Jeff Bezos, and how they address the inequality themselves produce. We need to interpolate these actors, because without a new welfare state, more conflict and class struggle will rise, and this some sort of admiration figures can turn into the enemy in a very complicated situation that I think we all wish to avoid. In the third place, politicians. Based in a neo-Keynesian perspective, we call for a new housing deal in order to reactivate the economy, generate productive enchainments, tackle social conflict derived from housing shortage, precariousness, and homelessness, and make use of the productive forces of each country, of course. In the fourth place, architects. Well, architects, they all have a special place in our hearts. So it is important to put them around debates on densification, the future of urban growth, anti-homelessness practices, and housing as more than a roof, but an urban environment. From housing design to neighborhood planning with community engagement will allow to recover the urban thinking without the messianic excesses of the modern and monumental architecture that we know already examples of that in the mid-20th century. And finally, regarding spatial developers, as most of the states have a subsidiary role, market forces can be challenged now promoting the just city in state institutions, local governments, universities, and so on. Information in networks are key to influence with more solidarity ideas in a context where capital is being questioned. So in a nutshell, we all have a lot of tasks to do that exceeds our professional capacities as students of planner or planner professionals. So we are keen to spread not only a radical democracy narrative, but a call to action considering the pluralist identities expressed in our posters. And to close, I would like to give the floor to Lucy. Thank you.
Hi. So as you can see, the graphics are a big part of our manifesto. Our posters always start with the title, which are the people we want to challenge. Then you have our catchphrase, it's time to act, to do something. It's really important that we stop theorizing everything, but we have to really act. Then we go a little bit more in depth in the text. And of course, you see the slogans and the images. So we want to express our messages in so many different ways so we can grab the attentions of a large range of people. In a manifesto, you put an idea into the world and you want to share it with as many people as possible and as fast as you can. So the idea of using posters was quite obvious for us and came very quickly in the process. Because it draws immediate attention and you can put it everywhere in every possible space you can find. And sometimes images speak louder than 1,000 words. Our inspiration comes from vintage posters and more specifically communist propaganda. Our manifesto is not per se communist, but if there's a manifesto who succeeded in spreading the idea of a new society in a really large part of the population, I think we can safely say that the Communist Manifesto did all that. And they really used art to share their message by using statues and posters and movies. And they all understood that art can be a very powerful tool. And I think it's really important to remember this in the times we live in with all those conflicts around us, and that we still have to use art and invest in art. And I think that's really important to remember.
Thank you so much, Lucy, and thanks, Cristobal, also for this great explanation of it makes a lot of sense what you have said. I think it's important to have a kind of visual impact. Many manifestos are very text-based and they are wonderful, and everybody has a different way of expressing themselves, right? It helps a little bit when you have a visual. And in that respect, I really want to apologize to a few of you whom we, because of the design of the book, we had to change a few things that you guys did. I think there is one group in particular I wanted to apologize because I think 2 days ago we had to make changes in the text and they had sent us a file that we couldn't edit, so we had to kind of redo everything. And I will get there later. Lucy, our adventure with copyrights is not over yet, I have to tell you. So one image has a problem, but we will get back to that later on. Thank you so much. And Lucy, you made a fantastic job, really fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are going to go now to page 188. Maybe people are following. And sorry, guys, I have to get close because otherwise I don't see. I'm ancient. Is this the one? Oh my God, I got the wrong page number. Ah oui. Pour une urbanisation moderne et durable, we have Igor Jotop, Jean-Honoré Quito, Mayang Madeleine Alexandra Larissa, and Vanessa Enchtala from the École de métiers d'architecture et d'urbanisme de Lomé, Université de Yaoundé. So they are French speakers. Guys, are you there? I'm not sure they're there. They had problems with connection. Hello, we don't see them. So maybe, wow, that's very sad. This is our only African group, but we will go forward. I just want to make sure that Celine, Julia, and Lourdes, are you here? They told me they wouldn't be here. They had a problem with their schedule at the school. Cynthia, Shima Bucuro, Gabriela Duran, Paulina Alvarez, are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Aha. And you are together.
Yes.
And these three are from IHS, is the Institute for Housing and Urban Development Studies in Rotterdam, which is a very dear, very close institution to TU Delft. And by the way, guys, I just wanted to say, Ikram, I didn't forget about you, right? But let's first hear from the girls. And can you tell us about your wonderful Spanish manifesto? And then there is a translation afterwards, but the original manifesto is written in Spanish.
Yeah, thank you, Roberto. Well, our manifesto is based in gender and Latin American cities. Cynthia, Paulina, and me, Gabriela, decided to write a manifesto for the just city, addressing our own experience as Latin American women living in Latin American cities. Latin America is the most lethal region of the world for women. 79% of the population live in cities, and these cities are violent spaces that we have to transit on a daily basis. From childhood, girls are denied autonomy and public life, and girls do not use public spaces in the same way as boys do. As teenagers, we learn to take care of each other, and we plan our routes carefully to pick the least risky one, and learning to walk as fast as we can, especially in those streets that have poor lighting, that are too narrow, or that are too empty. As adults, we continue inhabiting the city with the same fear of being catcalled or harassed. Let me know when you get home is a message that we always send to our girlfriends on WhatsApp, and sending the license plate of the taxi we took and sharing our live location is part of our strategy to feel safer. However, in recent weeks, the murder of many women around the world showed us again that cities continue to be denied to us, with more or fewer privileges or with better or worse conditions. Cities are still not made for us. Constant planning imposes an additional burden to women in Latin America, where gender roles are still highly traditional, and women continue being the caregiver in families, schools, and job places. We believe that cities need to be planned in a way that women can exist without any fear. And as claimed in our manifesto, we cannot continue talking about our right to the city alone. We need everyone to get involved in claiming cities that are truly fair. We do not need men to be allies. We need them to be traitors to the system.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, so today today we invite you to reimagine this world with us. What are you going to do as men, as city planners, as lecturers, to make our cities for everyone, to engage your students, future city planners, into building a more inclusive society? Today, let's change narratives, share leadership, and find new paths. And women, do not forget, we will be all, and we will all be one. Thank you.
Wow, thank you,
Wonderful.
Girls. That's really amazing. Somebody was saying something?
No, I said wonderful.
It's wonderful.
I know. I think it's important to highlight this.
Yes, I am from Latin America, as you know. Cynthia, are you Brazilian?
No, I'm Peruvian.
You're Peruvian. Yes. Look, I recognize that I'm not. I of course I didn't have the same experience as you, but I have friends, and I really recognize that. I'm sure a lot of women now hearing this are recognizing what you're saying, right? So thank you so much. This is really, really great. Well, I made a mistake, and there is one more group that I invited to present, and they are Ikram Pataine, Jessica Comino, Melissa Delgado, Martina Marangon, Stefania Russo, and Ams Traore from Politecnico di Milano, right? Guys,
hello.
What do you know? What page your? I didn't notice the page. Do you have the page?
85.
85. So let's go back.
If you put it in the
I just want to say that it's Politecnico di Torino.
Torino, yeah, sorry.
Yes.
I made a mistake. Sorry, guys.
No, of course.
What page is it?
85.
That's it, Roberto.
That's it. Yes. Sorry, guys. I'm very old, so I can't see very well. Guys, sorry. I completely fucked up. They are from Politecnico di Torino, which is also a very dear institution and getting very close to TU Delft right now, right? We are doing more and more things together. A very respectable, venerable institution in Italy. Can you guys tell us about your manifesto?
Yes, of course. My name is Melissa Delgado. I'm from Mexico. And my colleagues that participate in this manifesto, Jessica, Martin, Stefania, and Amy, I'm from Italy, and Ikram from Jordan. So the name of our manifesto is Towards a Sensitive City. So we consider as the main topics the economical, social, and environmental. And as a group of women, we look at the city with this sensitive perspective that must be inclusive for all citizens, more accessible, not only in terms of the physical space and social resources, but the city should be safe, resilient, and flexible. We are aware that there are some of these problems that the city presents nowadays. So we decided to pick the main ingredients for a sensitive city that all the ideas can be translated into the spatial form, thinking about the compact, organic, and polycentric city as the right of the city, the housing, sustainability, the local economy, the free accessibility to the toilets and the green areas. So at the end, we think that all the situations presented required unprecedented solutions, actions. So it's our duty as a generation of young planners, architects, and all the disciplines must be involved in order to build the city of the future that we envision. So in very brief terms, this is our manifesto.
Thank you so much, guys. That's really, really great. And it has this poster thing that you can, I would take your manifesto and go to a metro station and start giving it out.
This was actually the inspiration, like one of the old newspapers, and it's a call for action. So we went back to this old definition.
Yeah, so we can kind of distribute it, right?
Yes,
Thank you
exactly.
so much.
Thank you for the opportunity to express our ideas and all the team behind to organize this event. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we are quite a big team. Guys, we are getting close to the end of our event today. I can't tell you how happy I am. This was really fun for me, and I hope it was fun for you. But before we go, we still have a few minutes. We are a bit late, but we still have a few minutes. I put the link to this Miro board. Look at this. I put it on the chat, and you are invited to give us a few ideas. You can write whatever you want using these post-its on how do you think, or what do you think we could do as a group, as a lot of people who are all connected. What could we do? What kind of activity could we organize? Do you think it's a good idea to organize another call for manifestos to involve more people? what would you like to do? So I don't know if everybody has access to this, but if you, so I see Jessica, but I don't see a lot of people in this. The link is in the chat. Otherwise, oh yeah, speak about solidarity in education. There was a webinar with a very important person called John Forrester, who was saying that we should talk about kindness in education. And I think we don't talk about solidarity or kindness for fear that it's not, you know, it's not scientific enough, it's not architectural enough. These are like just feelings. But I, for one, believe that these are very important values for us to discuss in an academic context. And we are trying to do that.
I agree, Roberto, and I think it also relates to some of the things that were said by some of you. We all look at the world from different eyes, and we all have something to add, whether it's our sensitivities or how we experience them. And this is all valuable knowledge on how to understand the reality in the world, and we need to include that, I think, in our education.
Yes, if I may also to that, I think that is also because sometimes in the university we think that we know what students want, but I think in this type of places is super important also to us to know, because I think you have this fresh views and new ideas that I think is super important that we work together, right? I mean, we share and we exchange all of these ideas in education, but also after that, I mean, you could be the next planners and architects, and I think it's also a good start to thinking about how to put this into practice, which is the most difficult part, I think.
I see a friend of mine, Russell Smith, from the network, the Spatial Justice Network. Russ, would you like to say a few words about this? How are you guys approaching it in Winston-Salem University?
Thanks, Roberto. Yeah, it's great to hear everybody, and came in a little bit late, but really enjoyed listening to all the manifestos, and happy to be able to contribute to this. So I teach the Spatial Justice Studio at Winston-Salem State University. Winston-Salem State University in the States is a historically Black college and university. So it was formed to give higher educational opportunities during the era of segregation to African Americans. So I think our student population is about 80% African American. And so they have experienced spatial injustices across American cities for centuries. And what we've tried to do is be local. So we're focusing on our community, and then we're trying to connect the students, the theory and the practice in the community itself, and allowing students to kind of bring the knowledge that they hear and they learn about to the community, and then let the community bring their experiences and let them help decide on the solutions, to not bring answers to the table, but to actually try to generate the answers together. And it's a slow go. It's a long process, but it's one I think that people get more buy-in with. And so we're excited to see where it goes. The studio has only been around for, this will be the end of our third year. So, but we're looking forward to continuing to work with the community groups that we do and tackling issues related to economic mobility, gentrification, food deserts. Really, those are just a few of the couple projects that we have going on currently.
Thank you so much. There are a couple of people I'm seeing here who are part of our conversation today. A dear friend of mine, Katia Canova, is responsible for mapping inequality in the city of Sao Paulo in Brazil. I don't know if she is still with us. Katia, are you there?
Hi, Roberto, I'm here.
Hi, can you tell us a little bit about your work?
My thesis is about indicators. Indicators that can show us a little bit the complexity of the city, and in order to in order to build some index of urbanity and spatial justice. It's about that.
I was going to ask you, could you please put the link to your work on the chat? Because
of course,
people will be interested. I think I wanted to highlight your work because I think mapping inequality is a big thing. We should definitely do it. Cristobal, as always, with lots of good ideas on the chat. Cristobal, would you want to talk about them? I love that. I also love the TikTok idea.
Honestly, no, because I'm not sure of how to implement what I'm saying. I just have seen a lot of examples of this with other subjects, but I don't know how to proceed. I'm not young enough to do this.
You're not young enough. That's a good one. I'm also not young enough, so maybe we should look. I want to highlight this: involve more universities from the global south, and I think this is it, right? That's what we are trying to do, and a lot of our friends and colleagues and students come from the global south. I am from the global south myself, so we are trying to do that more and more. Organize themed events with longer breakout rooms. I hear that the breakout rooms were really popular, were they? So I thought they were really popular. Design past immediate problems, new mentalities toward time and past economic gratification. Woo, that's a mouthful. Maybe whoever wrote this wants to explain. Sharing events that we will do, organize tactical interventions. That's more difficult now that we are all online. Creating a network, that's what we want to do, create this network with people who are in contact with us. Education should be about dialogue. Master and apprentice learn from both each other. Teachers are what students will grow beyond. I love that. Great. And I think absolutely. And I have to tell you that it doesn't take a long time to happen. It's really like a few maybe months after you're out of the university. I just don't like the word master so much. I think we are all learning, to be honest. But I think you're completely right. A Reddit thread. Oh my God, you're going ballistic, Cristobal. I always think that Reddit is this place where people discuss conspiracy theories. A network of curricula, schools hosting in the future editions. That's a good idea. That's really a good idea. Maybe somebody else should host it, and we should help. Talking about diversity of the understanding of spatial justice. Yes, that's I think what we are trying to do with Russ, for example, in the Spatial Justice Network, is to talk about this language. All right, guys, we have heard a few things, lots of good input in the chat as well. Luz, I think you had like a message, or Anya, I don't know who wants to go first.
Yes, I mean, but it's a very short one, just saying that we are now developing few online courses at to Delft, and they are MOOCs, so they are open and they are free. So I would like to invite you, if you want to keep seeing what we are doing here, and I will put you the links here. You can take them as I said before for free, but you can also pay if you want to get a certificate. There are 3 MOOCs. One is Rethink the City, which is more urban, and
it gives a first overview about urban issues mainly in the global south. Then we have global housing design, and then we have building inclusive cities. So I'll just leave you there the invitation open.
Yeah, these MOOCs are for free, right? If you want to have a certificate, you have to pay a little.
You have to pay around 45 euros, 50 euros if you want to get a certificate. Yeah.
If you don't need a certificate, they are completely free. So
exactly.
I really, and you can have a kind of how does it work? If you follow the 3 MOOCs,
you can get a professional certificate, and then you have to pay. Yeah, you have to pay for that also. But
okay.
but you can always enroll first, see the MOOC, see the course, and if you like it, you can take it again and get it.
Well, finally, Anya, you wanted to talk about the Global Urban Lab.
Yeah, I promise I'll keep it very quick. Just if anyone wants to get involved with the Global Urban Lab, feel free to visit our website or our social media pages. I've sent the links on the chat. So always feel free to drop a post or email and join our mailing list.
Thanks a lot. My fellow organizers, am I forgetting something? Caroline?
No, I don't think so. Just want to emphasize, I truly enjoyed it. It's wonderful to collaborate with people who are like-minded and who see that there's possibilities for positive change. So thank you for that.
Guys, we are not kidding. I think we had a lot of fun doing this ourselves. We discussed a lot. We had a lot of work designing the book. To be honest, it was more work than we thought. But I thought that it came. It was relatively fast, right? We made everything. We made the events in November, and the book is already there. It is free for you to share. We will later on send you the link to the publisher. So if you want to circulate it in your networks, you can send the link, from the publisher. I'm sorry to say we are not going to print the book, but we are still going to try to print. Can we print and bundle the book at home? Flores is asking. Yeah, go for it. It's a lot of ink. It's a lot of ink. But yes, you are free to print it at home, actually. We are going to try to print it, but I cannot promise it. But for now, I just want, from the bottom of our hearts, from the people from TU Delft, to thank you so very much for spending time with us, and for talking with us, and for sharing with us. And I hope this will continue to grow. All right. I think we did a relatively good with the timing. Yeah, it's more or less the time we said we would finish. Yes, Sophie is celebrating. Thanks, Sophie. Well, everyone, thank you so much, and we will, as you know, I'm very good with keeping in touch with you. We will keep in touch and keep you informed. See you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a
See
lot.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Guys from the Global Urban Lab, do you want to stay 5 minutes so we can chat? So let's.
Bye.
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 Bye, Amish. I see you. Such a wonderful name. Hi, Jessica.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Hi, Noemi. I see Noemi Gallo was there. I didn't see you before. Bye, everyone. So let's wait until everybody leaves.
Or we can go in a breakout room, Roberto.
Oh yeah, we can go in a breakout.
Maybe you can stop the live sharing on YouTube.
and